Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining all of us on the Be All Inclusive podcast. Today's episode, we will be talking about destination wedding disasters. James will have two to share, and unfortunately, Taylor has her own personal one to share about her wedding, which is taking place next week. We are also playing a fun game of two truths and a lie, so please stay tuned to find out what we're telling the truth about and what we're lying about.
But it's always sunny down in Mexico. The sun gets high when I get low. The only way to get there is to let yourself go. Good times are made in Mexico.
Hello and welcome to the Be All Inclusive podcast. I'm your host, Laurie Bergley, and I am joined by my two favorite colleagues, James Bergley of Be All Inclusive and Taylor Marth of 5 Travel. As you can see, guys, we are not all in the same room this time. Boo! We have a super fun episode for you guys today. We are going to talk all things destination weddings as usual, but instead we're going to talk today, instead of all of the good, wonderful things, we are going to talk about what happens when things go wrong. That's right, destination wedding disasters.
Nothing goes wrong. Nothing goes wrong in a way.
Oh, no? Nothing?
It kind of sounded like the Real World intro. Remember that from MTV back in the day? It was like, what happens when people stop being polite and start getting
real?
Oh, I miss that show.
I know. What's a good one?
Does that date us though? Because is that even a thing? Do kids nowadays, 20-year-olds nowadays know what real world
I would say probably not.
But like our brides, I feel like a lot of them are, my age.
All right.
Yeah, they know what's up.
Don't want to date ourselves too much.
Well, before we get started talking about some of the disasters, we want to do a quick little icebreaker. Today, we're going to start with two truths and one lie. James?
All right, two truths and a lie. I'm an avid trumpet player. I once had a job that I painted in the White House. I was like a painter. And I have been yelled at by Tiger Woods.
All right, Taylor, go ahead.
Okay, I grew up playing basketball. Let's see, I hate tequila, and I have never been to Europe.
Okay, so my three are, I play the piano. I used to teach at the college level. And I once met Paris Hilton. Those are my three. If you're watching this, you're probably like, why are you going to tell me about the bad things? I don't want to hear about the bad things. So I want to do a quick disclaimer. What we're about to tell you happens less than 1% of the time. Most times, everything goes off without a hitch. Everything is fine. But every so often, things happen and, out of our control, but we want to tell you this so we can assure all of you that at this point, Team BAI has kind of been there, done that, seen a lot, handled a lot, and so you can absolutely trust that when challenges arise, we know how to roll with the punches. So we just want to assure you that you're in good hands with us.
With the amount of weddings that we've done, though, we've really seen a lot, and we've seen it all.
Oh yeah.
We've seen guests kicked out of weddings. Kicked out of.
What? No way. I don't believe that.
We've seen guests kicked out of weddings. Not only, not in the traditional sense where, hey, you're not my wedding anymore. Although, let me tell you, as a photographer, I was in a lot of scenes with a bride and bridesmaids getting ready beforehand. And I've experienced some drama where, a bride going off at the bridesmaids on wedding day because the bride's so stressed. And it's just like, all right, I want to be a fly. I want to just meld in with the wall and, get out of this scene, this scenario, because it's so awkward. But I've seen that. We've had situations where guests, resorts have called me up and said, hey, this guest has been out of hand. And we have to remove him from the resort. So, Taylor, I'll let you touch base on that, maybe if you choose to later. And then, but I'd say, one of the bigger things that we had we had, I forget what year it was, but we had a situation where I think it was 2021.
I think it was post.
It was definitely
COVID.
post-COVID because this was the issue. I think it was like spring of 2021, maybe April or, May of 2021. And we had a destination wedding group where I was contacted by the hotel maybe about March. Let's say the wedding was maybe May, and I was contacted in March, so 2 months beforehand. I was contacted by the hotel. By this time, we had already had the hotel, all the guests and their, that made their reservations. They paid in full. They're under full penalty, which means, that they can't get money back. They can't cancel unless they had insurance.
They're ready to go. Countdown has begun.
Good to go, right? I'm doing the finalization. I'm getting the flight information. We're good to go, right? And right, so we're kind of on autopilot at that point. It's like, just closing up the group and getting things ready. And I get a call from the hotel. And the hotel has informed me that they are actually going to be, they had a better offer, shall we say. I won't name the hotel, I won't call out them and all that, but they had a better offer. Their better offer consisted of a Hollywood production company coming and buying out the entire property for the entire month, actually, I think it was. And so they were
to shoot a movie.
Yeah, to shoot. Well, I think it was a reality TV show. So, I think it was one of these dating shows where they go into
one of those.
I don't know. I can't keep up with all the dating shows, but if you've ever watched them, that's a whole other conversation. I won't go there. But so they had a better offer. The production company wanted to come in, and this was right after COVID, where really the hotels were still struggling. And you're in May of 2021, so people still were kind of hesitant about traveling, and the hotel was struggling, and they didn't have their hotel full. And this was a offer for them to take the entire month at 100% occupancy, because the production company is going to buy them out. And there is a clause in every contract, every group contract, the hotel does have an out. They can get out of it. They, obviously have to give you money back in that case, but they can get out of it. And that's what they did. They pulled the clause and they said, hey, we got a better offer. We're going to have to move all groups and all reservations. And, we're really sorry, and we'll try to work with you. But that's the situation. Can you imagine how I felt?
So that's definitely the 1%. That never happens. And I feel like if it does, it happens way before. Like over a year before you know about it, not that quickly.
Right. This is just such a rarity. This never happens, This is, and it's never happened. I mean, how many weddings have we handled prior to this, and it's never happened? But the hotel, from a business standpoint, was in such a spot where they really needed help. So I understand it from their standpoint, getting 100% occupancy for a whole month, compared to them being at like 20% occupancy by having their group there for 3 days that month.
Right.
I understand the business side of things, but my couple was obviously quite upset. Our guests were all quite upset, and they don't understand from their point. And I get it. I get it. I'd be very angry if I were in that spot. Luckily, what we did there, we immediately took action, and, working with our suppliers, our third party, company, the tour operator that we booked them through, working with the hotel directly, we got in and we started looking at alternatives. Now, from my side, just so you all know, I didn't let the couple know until I had reached out to alternatives, because I didn't want to come to the couple and say, hey, guess what? Your wedding canceled. Good luck. That's not the right way to handle things. So as soon as I found out, I went ahead and reached out to other hotels in the area, figured out, okay, well, who else has availability? What can we do? Where can we go? And once I realized, okay, there's some other options out there, I didn't know what the couple's going to want, but I wanted to come to them with options.
Yes.
And so we came to them and said, hey, this is a situation. It really sucks, and I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, this isn't my decision. It's the hotel's decision. But here's what we have. We have some other options for you. And, we reached, we looked at those hotels. We then, the hotel that we ended up switching to, they wanted higher rates. because we were booked with the hotel we booked a year ago, or whatever. I don't know
During
when we booked it. We
COVID,
probably booked
probably.
it maybe even before COVID, right?
Yeah.
Right. So during rock bottom rates, right? And the other hotel, they wanted more money. It was a more expensive hotel in general. It was a nicer hotel. Interestingly enough, the couple got moved to a nicer property.
Thank God.
It was a nicer hotel. They wanted more money, and we then worked with the hotel that moved them and said, "Hey, I need you all to step up to the plate here because y'all are getting 100% occupancy for a month. Meanwhile, you're kicking my group out. I need you to give some money over to the other motel to help relocate them and help cover this difference in cost." And you know what? Between the three of us, there were four of us, a tour operator, 2 hotels, and myself. We were able to get it negotiated and get it figured out so that their guests didn't have to pay any more. The room categories were switched over into the most similar room category that they had booked at the original room hotel. And we got everything switched over and done and completed. And, the wedding went off and they got a better resort out of it. So, long story, it was something that was like worst case scenario that the bride and groom were like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. But we were able to step up and get it taken care of for them. And, it all ended up going really great. Now, I think one hotel company lost a customer for life, probably. The other hotel company may have gained the customer for life.
So some of you may not remember this, but this was back in the summer of 2019 when I don't exactly know how it started, but the U.S. media started running with this story that hotels in the Dominican Republic were serving Americans tainted alcohol. And all of these Americans were like dropping like flies. They weren't. They were not serving us tainted alcohol. This was basically completely fabricated, but it caused a tremendous amount of fear within our clients, or the industry overall really struggled. Poor Dominican Republic lost so much business because of this. But, some of our clients were scared, and it comes down to people have this mentality of better safe than sorry, right? And so James and I had a bride and groom getting married at Hard Rock Punta Cana. I think it was July or August. I think it was August. And some of their friends and relatives were nervous to go because they were like, I don't want to go to the DR. All I'm hearing about is, all the DR stuff in the news with the bad alcohol and whatnot. And again, it came back to this better safe than sorry. Can we go somewhere else? And so if you want to take it, James.
We've been in this industry a long time. So we know that the media is regularly, I don't know if it's a slow news cycle or the combination of the slow news cycle. It's a combination of the media, they operate in fear. And if it bleeds, it leads, right? Like that's their phrase, right? So they want to instill fear in people.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to instill fear in people when it comes to traveling. I'd hate to think about all the, can you imagine if we just reverse things for 1 second? And let's say you were in Mexico and you wanted to travel to the U.S., or you're in France and you wanted to travel to the U.S., or you're anywhere and you want to travel to the U.S. Can you imagine? I think there's an article recently about this. We should put it up and share it with everybody. But the amount of warnings there are about traveling to the U.S. because of the mass shootings that we have here, the school shootings, everything else. Like, nobody wants to come here. If you think about how much crime there is here, yet we all live here. It's no problem.
They don't put that out there in other countries, the way that they put it out there about the Caribbean countries for us. You know what I mean? Like, it is such a reverse thing. It's just insane to me.
Right. It is. It really, I think it's a shame, really, because it really, it takes away a lot of business from these areas and these communities which rely on tourism. So before we had the Dominican, it was Zika, and before that it was Mexico crime. Before that it was something happened at a resort in the Dominican or Jamaica, whatever. It's always something because the media latches on to these stories and they freaking go.
They don't
do not let them drop.
No.
Okay. And then what happens is, AP picks it up or Reuters picks it up, Associated Press or Reuters or something, and they throw it on their mass channel, distribution channel. And now it's in every single newspaper across the country, right? Because it's all the same. They all come from AP, they all come from Reuters, they all come from whatever. news distribution service there is. So what happened with that time of year? It was the latest thing was, oh, the Dominican, Americans are dying in the Dominican. And somehow it's alcohol. They said, oh, it's tainted alcohol from the minibars. That was the story that they were running with no real evidence.
A lot of these resorts also have people from all over the world. And it was funny because no one in Europe was running with this story. No one in South America was running with this story. It was like they were just targeting Americans. No, they were.
The alcohol was specially designed to tell if you were American or not. And if you were American, then it kills you.
Oh, the alcohol knew. The tainted alcohol knew. Wow, it's crazy.
People fall for this because you're leaving the country, you're traveling out of the country, you're already nervous about XYZ. And then again, it's that better safe than sorry mentality. And then so if you want to talk specifically about the group.
What happened though before that was again, there were some incidents. I think there were some incidents at some resorts because again, things happen while people travel. Crime still happens, that type of stuff. And it got to the point where the news media run with it so far that they escalated it. It got to the attention of the government, and the FBI was sent in. The FBI, U.S. FBI, was sent in to investigate and help investigate these situations. I think one was literally a car accident. Americans died in a car accident. They blamed it on tainted alcohol. It turned out I think these people were high on drugs during the car accident, but whatever, that doesn't matter. But anyway, the FBI went in and investigated and found there was no evidence of tainted alcohol or anything like this. But the result doesn't get published. It's just the story. The FBI is going to investigate American deaths in the Dominican Republic. Again, so while the media is running with this, everybody that's getting married in the Dominican Republic is freaking out. Now, our bride in this situation was totally cool. No worries. She was like, I travel. I know what the deal is. I know all this stuff.
Wow.
Like it is. Bride was totally cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't the bride that was the issue. The bride's father was so upset by these stories that he refused to go to her wedding.
Oh my gosh.
If it was to the Dominican Republic. And we are literally 2 weeks out.
No.
Yeah,
Are you
2 weeks out.
serious?
No. And so the bride's father, because of the U.S. media, has scared him to death.
Oh my God.
That he's certainly going to die if he goes to the Dominican Republic. That we have to now change the wedding location. We have to find a hotel in Mexico, and move all the guest reservations and this is a group of, I think it's like 40, 50 rooms.
So screw their flights that they have to change that they probably had to pay money for.
Right.
Oh, I'd be so
and
pissed.
So, but you know what? We got it together and we did it. We found another resort, same company. We moved it over, etc. The company that, and the company that was involved there, they literally pulled all their minibars from every single room in response to this. Hey, you know what? No, this is a problem. Okay, we're pulling them. They're gone.
Good
No
for
minibar,
them.
no alcohol, no problem, right?
Yep.
So, was those type of situations, we got done. Was it needed? No, I don't think so, but it doesn't matter because it was needed in the mind of our customer.
Yep.
And we got it done. I thought it was a little interesting because, probably a year prior to that, I was dealing with people they were running the crime in Mexico stories, which usually the crime in Mexico stories are, oh, there's crime's rampant in Mexico. And people don't realize that all the stories that they're referencing are literally at the border, which are literally thousands of miles away.
Closer to the United States, by the way.
Well, I usually reverse that and I say, well, yeah, I had a Mexican couple I'm trying to help and they wanted to come to the U.S. They wanted to go to Disney World, but they decided to cancel their trip because there was a mass shooting in Las Vegas.
Love it. That's a great one to use.
So it's just a perspective thing. People don't realize, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make any sense to cancel your trip to Cancun because there was a shooting at the border thousands of miles away. So, you run into these things, but I thought it was funny while we're doing the Dominican thing, because usually, it was 6 months before I was dealing with situations where people were leaving Mexico and going to the Dominican
Yes.
because of crime. where actually, if you look at the crime statistics on a per capita basis, the Dominican is much more, per capita, much more risky than going to Mexico, because Mexico is a huge country and there's a ton more people in it. But again, it's not about logic, it's about emotion.
Yes.
And this is one of those things where, people can be so wrapped up in the emotion of the story because the media tells them what to think, and then they change their entire plans off of it. It's not our job as agents to determine that for them, what they can and can't be fearful of. We can have our own thoughts on that, but we have to react to it. And, if the client comes to us and, and says, hey, I'm not comfortable going to the Dominican Republic, we need to say and go fight for them on their behalf and say, hey, hotel, I know, we're contracted with you guys. And yeah, if you want to hold your contract, we'll have to do what we can. But I'm here to ask for an exception, because this is the perception of how things are being presented to us in the U.S. right now, is that the Dominican is not safe, and our clients don't feel safe there. So they want to go and change to a different hotel, maybe within your same company, we want to change to a different hotel. Is that possible? And, the hotels, they can be understanding of the situation. I mean, as much as we all talk about it, we know the reality of it because we're there all the time. Most people don't have the privilege of being in these destinations every month, but we are. And, so we know the reality of it on the ground is not really what the media portrays. But the reality that doesn't really matter at that point when it's about the, how the guest feels. If the guest feels unsafe, we need to move them. Let's try and do everything we can to move them.
The groom's dad was, he called it like a Herculean effort that we did to move this entire group.
Within 2 to 3 weeks?
And 2 weeks or 3 weeks, including, flights, new flight info, setting up transfers, all of that. And it was just, it was a tremendous amount of work. But of course, you do what you have to do. But that one ended up being, a destination disaster, not because of something that, the resort did, but like you said, it was just something that was based on emotion. And, if that's how it is and you're uncomfortable going here because of X, Y, Z reason, and we have the ability to help and step in and move it, by all means, we'll do what we have to do. But this is the last podcast that Taylor Marks is going to be Taylor Marks. What's your new last name going to be again?
Pathit.
Pathit. So Taylor gets married. This time next week, Taylor will already be married. We're going to go. Yeah. You kind of had your own little destination wedding disaster if you want to go into that.
Yes. So this kind of like almost goes hand in hand with what James and yourself dealt with the buyout, almost in a way, like completely different reason. But it was just one of those things that even for myself reiterated why, back when I was a previous bride, why I used a travel agent, why you don't do things direct, because at the end of the day, I just have to say, at the end of the day, if I had booked my wedding direct, I would not be where I am today. So to kind of explain this, so I was supposed to get married at a beautiful resort and in Mexico, of course, because Mexico is the best. Just kidding. I love Dominican and Jamaica. So my friends just really love Mexico. So anyways.
Times are made in Mexico.
This is very true. Very true. And so about, what was it, James? Probably like 5-6 weeks before. I'm just on Facebook, minding my own business one morning, and I see something about a fire happening at my resort. And at first, when I saw like pictures and I was just like reading about it, I was like, we're fine. Like, there is no reason that this is going to cause like cancel my wedding. Like, it wasn't like even if a building didn't burn down, like nothing. It was like a fire in like an employee cellar. But unfortunately, this is in America and they don't have like the state and, regulations that we have when you make a building. So like there weren't even sprinklers that went off. So there was a lot of smoke damage. So all this to say, I find this out, I want to say like Saturday morning. And at this point, I'm like, whatever. Sunday comes around, I'm starting to get a little like, okay, wait, the more I'm reading, I'm getting a little nervous. And then James had to be the one to give me a little phone call. And he's like, okay, I don't want to freak you out, but I'm just letting you know there is potential that they could decide to be closed for an extended period of time. And I just want you to be prepared. So that Monday, I already got a phone call like, yep, they're closed. Wedding's supposed to be May 12th. They're closed until June 1st. And I'm like, okay, well, it's great that I work in this industry. We got this. And there was like a lot of emotions with this. Now, right away, I'm finding out that there are these poor brides who had booked directly at the resort. The resort's options were you either reschedule your wedding to a date when we're open or you take your money. They were not about to help you get to move your room block and your wedding.
They're not going to help you send the business to somewhere else. Like that's not your job. They don't care about you. Nope. They want their wedding there, and that's it. That's what I understand from a business standpoint. Like,
can't be mad at them. They like send me all these dates of like potentials, and I'm like, you realize my guests have flights already, correct? And I'm like, and I'm moving to Chicago. Yes. I'm like, there's so much going on. I'm like, there's no chance we're having this wedding in May. Nobody's travel dates are changing. So Monday morning comes around. I know people probably hear us throughout the word tour operator, but I'm on the phone with my tour operator by 9 a.m. that morning, and they're like, we got this. Here's the options we're going to look at. And basically we're like, it's going to be okay. I'm like, all right. So at this point, my first concern is not the wedding. At this point, my number one concern is my guests. So I'm like, okay, all I care about is moving that 35 room block to a new resort. Now, guys, occupancy right now is pretty freaking high. Like everybody and their mother and brother are traveling. So we were finding some resorts that like had like, okay, yes, you can have your wedding there, but nope, not enough occupancy. Or, hey, we have like just enough occupancy, but it's going to be triple the price. And I'm just like, oh my God.
We use the term tour operator. I know it's an industry term, right? So our clients may not understand what that means. But, generally we work with tour operators. We use, and shout out to Apple Leisure Group, ALGV, who we use all the time because they were the ones that were involved in your wedding and getting your group moved. They were the ones that were involved in the wedding that the production company blown out as well. We're not exclusively with them, but this is why we use them, is because, they have a during travel assistance team that's available 24/7 because we can't be available 24/7. So it's a service to our clients, but it's also, they have a lot more leverage because they deal with so many. I mean, we deal with a lot of weddings as well, but they deal with even more. So we have more leverage, and it's all about helping the client with that leverage. And, like you said, the people that book direct, they're on your own. And the people that book with an agent, and we're going through a tour operator, we've got resources to help in these situations. So I just wanted to shout out to them.
Yeah,
we can absolutely mention the hotel as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, actually, even earlier because you had kind of like dropped in like tour operator, I was like, we need to tell our lovely couples what the tour operator is. So you just explained that perfectly. A lot of times when I'm talking to my couples, I'm like, it's basically they're the middleman who fights for us. Like they are fighting they don't care like where you need to be, like they care about you, and that's what it comes down to. So beyond thankful, and even just to say, like, I had a very high-end person at that company emailing me from vacation being like, we will make sure you're taken care of. And as well as at the same time, as you can imagine, they weren't just dealing with me, they were dealing with other brides at this resort as well. So, which, by the way, thank God they only did one wedding a day. I think that's like one lifesaver.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
I think that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So that morning when I talked to my amazing connection at, how do you say it to your guest? Apple Leisure Group?
At ALG. I do say ALG. But...
Okay. Thank God. Because I was like, okay. So at ALG, she's like, I already am in my head thinking TRS Coral, which, keep in mind, was about 5 minutes away from my original spot. And I'm like, okay, I don't like at this point, like this is a newer resort. I did find out that Love is Blind was filmed there, as James was talking about buyouts earlier. And it was very funny. That was one of the first things Will said. And when I was sending my fiance all these options, he just was like, oh, TRS Coral. Like it just seemed to kind of like a little bit of the vibe of what we were like going for. So this was probably like it was definitely over a week-long process of like, okay, they are telling us that first we have to find out, do they have enough inventory? And then it was, are they willing to give us the same rates that you had? Our rates were so good from the other resort because, we did it a little less than a year out. Rates were good then. So at this point, I'm like, all the other resorts are saying you're going to have to pay more. And I'm like, I'm not asking my guests to pay more. Then I start calculating. I'm like, okay, well, if I put $100 towards this room, I was like, that's what $3,500. I'm like going through all these emotions of like what I can do. And TRS Coral of Palladium Group was like, we will honor your rates. We have 35 rooms. You guys are good to go. And that they made it happen. Now, it was absolutely amazing. I was in complete shock about it all. And the next thing was, okay, we have a place to stay, but now what about a wedding? And I at first reach out, and wedding's supposed to be Friday, May 12th. And they're like, nope, we don't have anything available. And I'm like, okay, well, it is what it is. So I start looking at off-site locations, which is a great option as well. But with such a short period of time, I was like, oh, the logistics, I just don't want to deal with this right now. And I had even asked about May 11th and was told no as well. And then one of the wedding coordinators just randomly emailed me as I'm going through all these emotions of figuring this out. And she's like, I can do May 11th. She calls me. She's like, I can do May 11th, 4 p.m. And I was like, I love you, but 4 p.m. is not going to work because so many people are flying in on Thursday. And she's like, what if we do 6? I was like, oh my God, yes. I was like, I don't even care what locations you have. Like, I'm very much of I am not getting married on the beach. But I was like, if I have to get married on the beach, I don't care. Whatever you have, I will take. It all ends up working out where I have a 6 p.m. ceremony, which keep in mind, a week before I had emailed my coordinator at my old resort saying, hey, I think I'm going to do 6 p.m. instead of 5:30. So I got my 6 p.m. slot. I have a beautiful beach deck overlooking the beach, but not on the beach. And this amazing like pool deck situation. And it's just all working out. And it has just been, I literally, like I was in contact with another bride who booked direct, and she had over 100 people, and they were like, there's nothing we can do. And it was so heartbreaking. So it was definitely a crazy emotions, but made me so like feel so blessed and thankful for A, what I do, and B, like realizing that like, okay, this is why people should book with us and all the other amazing people out there.
So much of it about is mindset, and just, knowing, hey, this isn't the ideal situation, and it's not, maybe it's not what I wanted, but it's what I got,
Yes.
and the situation that's here, we just have to deal with. And so, and you go into it with the right mindset and, and trying to make the best of things, and it's going to happen, and it's up to you. You could have just as easily said, hey, you know what, we're going to postpone it, or we're going to cancel, we're going to move it to the fall or something like that, and ultimately you got to do what's best for you and within the decision that you make. But, just going into it with a mindset of like, hey, I'm flexible. It is what it is. Like, how do we solve the problem instead of just complaining about, the problem? And it's like, well, think about these type of things, when they're planning their wedding, they just think everything's going to go smoothly. And most of the time it does. 99% of the time it does. But things can happen, places can catch on fire, they can get a buyout.
It can rain like on your wedding day, like in this vision that you had, but that's like a risk that you take. Like I already am in my head, like preparing for that in my head. I'm like, because when you have a wedding outside, no matter where you are, I live in Florida. Let me tell you, like afternoon showers in Florida are a thing. So like there's so much that you can't control. And this is going to sound cliche, but at the end of the day, I was like, I'm going to be in Mexico with my favorite people in the world, marrying like the man of my dreams. Like, I'm pretty sure as long as we have a place to stay, we'll figure it out. And like, it's also the support that you have. I had your guys' support. I had my friends being like, we don't care where you send us. As long as we have the beach and a pool and a drink in our hand, we will be just fine. And you're right. What you just said is so true. It is the mindset. And, I had a lot of brides emailing me during that 2-week period. And when I would kind of like eventually like tell them what was going on, and they're I don't want to say complaining, but like worried about all these little things, and then they hear my story and they're like, wait a second, like how are you being so positive? Like it kind of puts it into perspective. Like
us travel agents, we are practical people. Like there's no sense in like crying over things. Like just do what needs to be done.
Absolutely. It's so true. So yeah, it's one of those, like you said, it's the 1%, but I just laugh because I'm like, obviously, as we all know, I went through the destination wedding process before, and I was like, I love this. I can be able to tell my brides that, like, I've been in your shoes before. Like, I know how this process works from A to Z. Now I'm like, all right, I got you. One up you. I can deal with the process and a disaster and know how to move your room block, and I will take care of you.
Sorry, you've really gone through all areas that, and it's super helpful, and it's only going to help you help your clients.
Yeah,
It's going to help you
absolutely.
help your brides and help your couples, guide them through these situations when they happen. We all hope and pray that these situations don't happen.
Right.
Fires happen, things happen. I mean, it sucks. But the better, we can, okay, let's come up with a resolution,
Right.
and present the options and, let the guests figure out what they want to do. But even from the bride standpoint, coming into it, it's all about the attitude
Yes.
and how your mindset when you go into it. Because, Love is Blind is going to come and steal your freaking resort from you. Which, by the way, actually, if anybody knows a reality TV show that took place at Iberostar Punta Mita, I want to know which one that was, because that's the one that stole it from my couple. So,
That's really funny.
Tell me what show took place there, because I'm down with what shows are taking place.
What's crazy though is the fact that it took up a whole resort. Like, I feel like when Love is Blind was filmed, like, they had such small areas. I feel like they probably blocked off, but maybe they do take over the whole resort.
Destination wedding disasters, do they happen? Yes. Is it very infrequent? Yes. So have no fear. We will take care of you. But, like I said, now we're all in a position, thanks to this, that we can help our clients better. And then when this stuff hits our desk, we're just like, no big deal.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly. And then we can, exude this confidence and like, we'll take care of it. No problem. Oh, this is nothing, back in 2020, well, like, now we just have this confidence that we can handle anything that hits our desk. So
I couldn't agree more.
Well, I think that basically concludes this episode.
Wait. We've got two truths and a lie.
I know.
She's like, that's what I'm getting to, James.
All right, James, you want to go first? What? Just repeat it all again and tell me your...
Oh, God, I got to remember what I said.
Play the trumpet like avidly or something, and then you painted in the White House, and then Tiger Woods has yelled at you. Okay, I think number 1 is a lie, and I think number 2 and 3 are true.
You're right.
Yes! Go me.
James did play the trumpet, but not avidly.
Oh, I was told by my 4th grade trumpet teacher, my music teacher, that I was born to play the trumpet. Okay, also, it was not that far off for me.
And now he's the travel agent that owns a company. Close. We're close. Okay, Lori, what were yours?
I play the piano. I taught in college, and I met Paris Hilton.
I think that number 3 is a lie.
No, I did meet Paris Hilton.
So, okay, it's funny. That was going to be my first one, but I'm like, I definitely picture you playing a piano. And then I was like, I was going to say number 2 is a lie, because I'm like, you've never told me that. But did you? You teach in college?
Yeah, I used to teach at the community college level.
So no piano.
I have always wanted to play the piano, but never have. So that is why. And I met Paris Hilton years ago when she was shooting the that Simple Life reality show.
Yes.
She was just in town, and I happened to be working at the hair salon where she came through.
Okay. So no piano, but wants to play piano. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Taylor. Yours was I don't like tequila.
You played basketball. I don't like tequila, and I can't remember your third one.
I've never been to Europe.
I want to say never been to Europe is the lie.
I would say the same thing.
Guys, do you not remember what we started off the show with? I was drinking a margarita. I love tequila.
I know.
I've never, I said I don't like tequila. That's my lie.
Oh, damn it. It's screwed up. I didn't understand it.
And I know that, James, you definitely would have known that the tequila one was a lie. So, no, I've never been to Europe. I have never been to Europe. So, yep, we're going to Greece in September. Well, you guys need to get a trip planned.
I know, seriously.
That was good.
All right, well, that's all the time we had here. Thank you all so much for joining us. You can find more about us on beallinclusive.net or beallinclusive on Instagram. Taylor, By5 Travel at By5 Travel on Instagram. I don't think you're on anything else.
Nope.
Just on Instagram?
Yep.
That's all we have time for. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week or next month. We don't really know. With more destination wedding tips and tricks. Thanks so much.
It's always sunny down in Mexico. The sun gets high.